Well, we started our last chapter. I know it's sad, the end of the year coming and summer vacation on its way. You'll miss school, so savor these last moments as we dig into work. So chapter 21 is unfortunately a small chapter, and they'll go by so quickly. So let's open our slideshow and press the square arrow. Double tap to get slides active. We can split screen with the book link. Then the three dots allow us to choose what we want to split screen with. All right, so first up, hazardous waste is one of the many problems, and the first section is about problems with the environment, and then the second section is about solutions. So hazardous means dangerous types of waste. So we need to read carefully about what kinds of dangerous or hazardous waste could be at home. Now, industries can make hazardous waste, but homes also. Then when we talk about how much trash the U.S. throws away, we don't want this number per person. We want the whole dang country, and that's where I love pictures. And so these are old numbers. They have likely gone up since there are many more Americans now. Question 2, what problems does the chemical CFC cause? So CFCs are useful for lots of things, but they cause a problem. So you'll read about that here. And then radioactive waste cause different problems to our health. Then when we get over to resources, question 3, renewable and non-renewable resources are here. Renewable means it's something nature can make more of on its own. Non-renewable means nature will not make any more. So while we can go out and get something from nature, if it's non-renewable, that's it. Don't confuse this with recyclable, because both types of resources, renewable and non-renewable, can be recyclable. But here we're asking about what your family uses, and not all our families have the same uses. For alien species, for question 4, we aren't talking about outer space, we're talking about things not in their home range. Usually when they leave their continent and end up somewhere else. Now, sometimes they just die, but sometimes they can be very, very successful. And there's a couple of reasons why it's easy for them to be successful. Then we want to give an example of one. So the book gives us 2 examples, but there are many invasive or alien species that have been spreading across America and Pennsylvania these last few years. Now, sometimes humans destroy habitats, not to be evil, but because we need the land for other uses. So first we want to say how we might destroy wetlands, but then we also want to say why we're doing it. Because it's not just because we feel like it, there's okay, decent reasons. Next up, we have an article about invasive worms. So there's an invader for you. And so to get to the article, I can either open the website here. So let's give that an open. Or I can open the PDF. They're both going to do the same thing. I like to open the website link because then I can put it into reader view. I'm going to press the Safari button. And then I can drop it into reader view to get rid of all the ads and other junk, because reader view split screens really well. And then we'll press done here. All right, so first up, how much area can these worms invade in 1 year? So we need amount of space or distance that these worms can invade. I see the word invade right there. And then when did they arrive in the US? Well, we need some kind of date. How are humans spreading these worms? So there's a couple answers to how humans can spread worms if you read carefully. And then, what is leaf litter? Well, leaf litter is an important thing the worms are damaging, so you're going to need to read carefully, or you can scroll to the end to the power words section to read about leaf litter. Then, how do worms change the chemistry of the soil? So that's down here. They change what's in the soil and what's available to other living things. And then lastly, what about these worms is still unknown? What do we not know? So that's way down near the end. This one we have as a paper in class, so you can read in small groups. These jumping worms cause problems. I'll probably show the video as well. Then lastly, slide 3, we want to open back up the book slides. There they are, it's still there, and split screen with that instead. Give an example of how you could practice each of the following. So how can we practice reducing, reusing, and recycling? We want to check the picture here. So we want to read, and now we can say things that aren't here, but we want to say how the student's reducing with these hecka cool 1990s photos, how this one's reusing or what they're reusing, and how this one or what this one student is recycling. And then we talk about alternative fuels. Alternative means not traditional, which usually means burning things like oil or natural gas or coal. So aside from burning things, what are some alternative power sources? And there are many you could choose that people are starting to use. Then recycling has its own bit. So when we recycle, if we look here, there's plenty of things to recycle, but when we recycle aluminum and other metals, we save something more than the metal itself. So you want to read carefully for what we save besides the metal itself. We save something else important. And biodiversity is over here. The opposite of biodiversity is monoculture, is this, a field full of one kind of thing. And that has some disadvantages. When we maintain biodiversity, we get lots of things that help us. So we can do it selfishly, or we can maintain biodiversity just to keep things alive. Name 2 ways the U.S. government 15 tries to protect or help endangered species. There's some listed here, and then there's even more listed back here. So there's more than 2 answers. We're going to do more with this chapter. We have a writing to do and maybe some ed puzzles to get to. But that would be it for Chapter 21's questions. Talk to me in class if you have trouble, or email me if you're not in class. And good luck with this last chapter.